Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Devin Shea from Aigned Life Chiropractic and Wellness, and this video is the first of a series of 10 videos that I'm going to be putting together for you that are really going to encapsulate the entire concept of how to get someone well and keep them that way for the rest of their life. This week, someone asked me, what does it mean to you to live an aligned life? And I think that's a really great place for us to start when we have the beginnings of this conversation of how to get someone well. So to me, when someone is living an aligned life, they are living in a place of taking full responsibility for their health. And trust me, I know that that is an absolutely monumental task. Sometimes it feels like trying to get and stay well can be almost like another full-time job that we're taking on, because there can be a lot of appointments, there can be a lot of time and energy, there can be a lot of headspace that is devoted toward being able to do the things necessary in order to keep our bodies functioning at optimal levels. However, I'm a big believer that your health is your freedom. It is your vehicle by which you are able to do all the wonderful things that you're really capable of doing in this world. And it's really what we need from you as an individual to help us as a society to be able to move things forward in the right direction. So despite the fact that that one statement of full responsibility for your health is substantial, I really feel like that is an enormous component of this concept of living an aligned life. Now, the key of this concept of aligned life is helping people to understand for themselves what it is that they perceive to be their ideal life for themselves in the future. So it's setting goals. It's living out your dreams. It's understanding what the big picture is for yourself and then aligning your current behaviors with that long-term vision. So if you take full responsibility, you know what you want in the big picture, and you're willing to step it through day after day after day, then you will ultimately achieve the result that you're looking for, or at least get very close to it. So living an aligned life is all about responsibility. It's about daily behaviors. And it's about living in faith that if you do certain things over a period of time, the world or the universe or God, whatever you want to talk about, is going to conspire in your favor to help you be able to achieve the life that you desire. So I hope that that resonates with you guys today. If you have not already done so, then what I would suggest you do is start mapping out what you want to see for yourself in the future, because you can't hit a target that does not exist, right? So please sit down. I find that number one, doing a list of the things you actually really like in your life can help you to understand maybe where you want to go. So before you even think about what are my big goals, where do I really want to go in this world, it might be a great idea just to start with, what do I enjoy? How do I feel fulfilled? What fills up my bucket, right? And make a list of all those things. And maybe that will help to guide you toward what you want to see for yourself. And in the big picture, I would have you think about what doesn't give me just short-term pleasure, short-term, but really what gives me long-term joy. What is it that gives me that deep sense of satisfaction that no matter what's going on in the world, I would really be excited, I would be thrilled, I would be content to spend my days doing this or that thing. What's your legacy, right? These are all the things that I want to hear from you guys. So figure out what those long-term goals is, and then step it back. Start thinking about what are the things you can be doing on a daily basis. What are the action steps? What are the behaviors? What are the routines that you would need to be doing regularly to help you achieve that goal? So today, my second topic for you guys to really grasp and to really create as a part of one of your core values is understanding that the body's natural state is healthy. So I know that sometimes comes as a surprise to people, because we oftentimes, especially in the media and so forth, we hear about our study of sickness and disease and so forth. We put a lot of emphasis toward naming things and creating diagnoses and so forth. But what I want us to focus on is this idea of what does it look like to actually study human health? What does it look like to actually study human performance? How do we make and keep someone really healthy for their entire life. And understanding that your body is designed to be healthy from the very beginning throughout your entire life, that's a really fundamental concept. So why can I say this with much assurance? It really comes back to one thing. Your body is self-healing and it is self-regulating. So what does that mean? So if you're self-healing, that means if you get a cut on your finger, your body will scab that over and will eventually heal the area. That's just one example. But no matter what goes on in your life, your body is always attempting to adapt to the environment that you put it in. So a great example of that is the concept of self-regulation. Your body is self-regulating. That means if you drive up to a high altitude, then your body will create more red blood cells and you will be able to carry more oxygen. It means if you decide to stop smoking and your lungs may be black in the beginning because you've been doing it for 20 years, but day after day after day, your body will go back to work on attempting to heal your lungs. It means if you sprain an ankle and you do it multiple times, your body learns, hey, this is an ankle that's susceptible. I'm going to go ahead and lay down some scar tissue, try to splint and protect that area. It means if you kink your neck over and over and over again, or you spend a bunch of time in forward flex positions, the body will literally lay down calcium in your bone to begin to splint and control those areas of your spine to make it easier and more efficient for your body to handle the additional stress of being in a bad position. So your body is self-healing and self-regulating. The question that I want you to be thinking about is, well, what type of environment am I putting my body in so that it can express health at 100%? Because if, like we said in the beginning of this video, the normal state of a human being is healthy, then the question comes back to us, which is, well, what is our role in being able to put ourselves in the right environment to heal and to function optimally? So look for that in our next couple of videos. We're going to definitely be covering that. But recognize, today you are designed to be healthy. It is normal to be healthy. It is normal to feel good. It is normal to have energy. It is normal to not be in pain. It is normal to be able to produce work from a physical perspective and not have it be strenuous. Or if it is hard, it's normal for your body to be able to tolerate those stresses and be able to do the same thing or even more the following day. So if that's not the case for you, I really want you to internalize that and start looking for reasons, or more importantly, ways in which for you to be able to get to a better state in respect to your overall health. Now, today I want to shift towards defining what actually health is, and I also want to talk about stress. So if we were to define the term health, we first need to understand, well, what is the basic building block of the human body? And the answer to that is it's called a cell. Our body is made up of trillions of cells that all work together synergistically. That means that they work together to create us as an individual, and they help us to be able to adapt to our environment readily. Okay, so health could be defined as a state of homeostatic cell function. That means balanced cell function. That means your body is doing what it needs to in order to be able to express abundant health, so those cells are working perfectly in unison. Okay, so in contrast to that, we can talk about how stress, and this can come in many forms, will actually move us away from homeostatic cell function. It moves us to unbalanced cell function. That means our bodies are having to adapt to things in a way that pushes us away from being healthy. So examples of stress would be things like a toxic relationship. Maybe we have poor food intake, or maybe we are not getting enough water in our diet. Maybe we have subluxations and postural distortions in our spine that are putting stress on the nerves and shutting down the energy into our organs and systems. That would be a great example of stress. Maybe we're not getting enough exercise, or conversely, maybe we're getting too much exercise. So what you're noticing is that there's this sort of ideal state. It's almost like not too much, not too little, just the right amount. And so this understanding of being able to help our bodies get to and find this place over the long term is really, really important. So your cells are the basic building blocks of your body. They need the right amount of environmental stressors to push them in the right direction. And being able to do this allows your body to work in homeostasis, which means it can adapt readily to your environment. thinking back to the last video, we ended with a bit of a teaser, which was asking the question, well, what is the right environment to create optimal health for an individual? And we talked about the idea of the building blocks of the human body are the cells. So there's trillions of cells, they all work together to help you work perfectly. So when your environment is really balanced and your body is getting exactly what it needs, then it has the capacity to work like an engine that is just humming, right? That's exactly where we want to be. There's no stress involved. However, if we don't have the right environment to operate in, then our cells have to adapt. Now we get lowered cell function, and now we potentially have the opportunity to start expressing symptoms. Once your body desires to let you know, hey, there's something that's wrong in your environment, you need to go and change it. Okay, so your body uses signals, we call them symptoms, to help us understand how it's operating. What is the environment that you're putting it in? Is it successful? Is it not successful? And that's why sometimes we can even be grateful for things like pain, because at least the body's letting us know, hey, we've got an issue, we've got to change the way that we're doing things. So when it comes to this idea, the body is able to manage short-term stress. So it can adapt for a little while. It's like, okay, I can handle you maybe eating inappropriate for a period of time. We go on a binge of eating some poor food, right? And the body can tolerate that. It's short-term. However, if we end up doing this year after year after year, that becomes a long-term stressor. The body has no response against this. And this ultimately leads to all of our chronic lifestyle diseases. Cancer, strokes, hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, obesity. These are all the types of problems that we see that are created from a lifestyle that is incongruent with what the body needs in order to express abundant health. So if we want to live a better way, then the question becomes, again, what is the environment that we need in order to be able to create optimal health? And the answer to that is we need to have a pure environment and we need to have sufficiency of that environment. Purity is all about, we need to have great, let's say if we're talking about food, we need to have organic produce. We need to have enough of the right things to be able to make this work. And it needs to be coming from a source that isn't toxic. So the opposite of purity would be toxicity. It's too much of something that's not good, right? In contrast, we also need to be sufficient in categories that we need, and we can't be deficient in categories that we need. That means we can't have too much, we can't have too little, we need to be right in the right amount. So if you want to be healthy, which of course we want to do that, then of course we want to talk about, what areas of my life do I need to create sufficiency? And what areas of my life can I create purity? Another question would be, how can I get rid of the toxicity in my body? And how can I get rid of some of the deficiencies? Maybe I'm deficient in the category of supplementation. Maybe I'm not taking a multivitamin or fish oil or turmeric or probiotics or something of that nature, and I can just add something in really quickly and that'll make me sufficient in that category. Or maybe I lack purity in regards to my relationships. I need to really focus in on maybe eliminating a few people from my life and really focusing in on the people that matter the most and that give back to me and fill up my bucket. So look for areas of your life where you can create purity and sufficiency, get rid of those toxicity and deficiencies, and begin to give your body an opportunity to heal. Now, the hard part is, keep in mind, guys, healing requires time. So be a patient individual. Allow your body the opportunity, especially if you've been living incongruently for a long time. This is going to take time. So maybe it's a weight loss journey that you're on, maybe it's an optimal performance journey that you're on, or maybe it's just, I want to be able to get back into my routines because I want to get my energy back. Wherever you're at on your healthcare journey, relax. You're going to make it. It's all about just doing the small steps repeated over time that are going to give your body the opportunity to heal. If I want to create purity and sufficiency in my body, and I want to eliminate toxicities and deficiencies in my body, which you should, which is going to move your body in the right direction toward health and healing, then what are the things in my environment that I want to be pure and sufficient in? What are the things in my environment that I want to eliminate with toxicity and deficiency? So to answer that question, there's really 4 things that I have you guys focus on in respect to making sure that you're doing a great job being deliberate, adding these things to your life. The first one is we need to be eating well. The second one is we need to be moving well. The third one is we need to be thinking well. And the last one is we need to be structurally well. So eat, move, think, and structure. So when your body is given the appropriate nutrients that are necessary for it to heal, it will do exactly that. So how can I be pure and sufficient in the category of, let's say, movement? Well, we want to have great functional movement using good form, good technique, not too much, not too little, the right amount. And when we do this on a regular basis, that's pure movement insufficiency, okay? If we were deficient in the category of movement, maybe we weren't getting enough exercise, or maybe we would be toxic in respect to movement because maybe we're moving with poor movement patterns or our form isn't good. These are the types of things that you would want to take a look at. So for each category, eat, move, think, structure, you can go through and ask those 4 questions. How can I create more purity in my nutrition life? How can I create more sufficiency in my relationships? How can I eliminate toxicity in respect to my stressors? And how can I create a really sufficient category in response to my structural elements? So eat, move, think, structure. Go through those 4 questions. And then guys, the key part for this is recognize your health is always on a spectrum. So if on this side of the screen, it would represent 100% absolutely raving abundant health. And then on this side of the screen, we represent death, let's just call it, or rigor mortis, okay? So rigor mortis over here, abundant health over here. So every single time you make a decision in respect to your eat, move, think structure, you are either moving closer toward health or you are moving closer toward sickness and disease and death. And I say that very seriously. It's the example of, am I going to have the Twinkie or am I going to have the apple, right? If I'm eating the apple, now my body is pointing in this direction. I'm moving more towards health and vitality. If, on the other hand, I make a poor choice and I'm going Twinkie, you guys remember those Twinkies, now we're moving in the direction of sickness and disease. So what this comes down to is living an aligned life. Are you taking full responsibility for your health? If you are, then you recognize that in every single moment, you are making a decision that's pointing you either toward the life that you want to be living or away from the life that you want to be living. And I hope that by working through Aligned Life Chiropractic and Wellness, you're going to be directed and supported into making really great decisions that are going to move you to the life that you desire. So today, I want to give you a little bit of an analogy that I like using that helps people understand how this really works in the real world. So I call this the bank analogy. I want you to think about your body as sort of like a bank account. When we have lots of withdrawals, meaning we're taking money out of our account, this is sort of like when we put a lot of stress into our bodies. Now, stress could come in the form of, like we talked about, bad relationships, bad food, bad water, bad movement patterns, bad postural positions, etc., right? These are stressors. These pull money out of our account. Now, your account may start out at a really high level, and that can be good because that gives you a buffer between really where you feel okay and where you actually begin to express symptoms. And this buffer ends up being really important. In fact, the bigger the buffer that you have, the less likely that you will have to have a health crisis. So that's good. However, what I would encourage us to begin doing is really to focus on, instead of withdrawals, we want to start making deposits into our health bank account. Deposits are looking at those categories, eat, move, think, and structure, and begin making choices like we talked about a little while ago with the idea that our health is on a spectrum, and every single decision that we make either moves us towards health and healing or towards sickness and disease. So the more decisions that we make in the categories of eat, move, think, and structure that move us towards health and healing, every single one of those is a deposit in our health bank account and widens the gap, widens that buffer, and makes us more durable. Essentially, this makes us more bulletproof so that we don't express symptoms. Just like in your financial life, when you have a lot of money in savings, if all of a sudden you blow out your tire and you need to have it replaced, $1,000 on tires can really be more of a hindrance rather than a massive crisis if you've got that big buffer sitting in your account. Similarly, when it comes to your health, during cold and flu season, if you have a big health buffer, all of a sudden, a little bit of a dip in your immune system doesn't mean it completely wipes you out and you have to go and have pneumonia and go to the hospital and so forth. So to widen your health gap, really focus on getting purity and sufficiency in the categories of eat, move, think, and structure, and think about how you can maximize the number of deposits you make during a week. Now, one of the things I strongly suggest is pre-schedule all of your self-care. So what that means is make sure you have your once a month massage scheduled always in advance. Every single month, it's on autopilot. Make sure you have your time set aside to go to the grocery store, buy healthy food, and food prep on the weekends so that you can have meals ready when you need them. Make sure that you have your chiropractic adjustment on the schedule every single week or whatever your adjusted frequency is to make sure that you're getting into those appointments and making them a priority. We all know, guys, when life gets busy, the things that oftentimes aren't actually accomplished during the week are the things that aren't felt like the highest priority, which when it comes to your health, there's really not much more that should be a priority than that. Key part for today is understanding that every single thing in your life, especially when it comes to healing, requires time. And that the longer you've been incongruent in respect to your health, you haven't been true to eating, moving, thinking, and structurally being well, and you haven't been pure and sufficient, you've been toxic and you've been deficient, the longer those things have taken place, the longer it is that your body is going to require in order to get back to homeostasis, balance, and optimal health. So I totally recognize that that is a bit of a buzzkill. However, it's important to understand the idea that, if you're morbidly obese, it's going to take a really long time, maybe even years, in order to be able to get you back to your 165-pound fighting shape or whatever that is for you. So recognizing that all things in life require time, and to create optimal healing, the idea here is, guys, we want to be eating, moving, thinking, and structurally well over a period of time. That means we need to be doing all four of those things to heal at the optimal rate. So you can be adding one of those things into your life and you'll already be starting to move the needle. Like we talked about on the Health on a Spectrum video, we talked about moving our bodies either toward sickness and disease or toward optimal health. So the more that we take and move the needle by doing those action steps, the faster that timeline will go. So despite the fact that oftentimes for our health, we need to be patient in order to be able to create a healing effect, we can speed things up based upon our willingness to go all in and make these lifestyle changes. Now, for best practices, I don't see that there's a person that has like the optimal lifestyle, they never make a mistake, and they just are like a robot going through life. I don't ever really see that. What I do see, however, are the people who are the most successful. These are the individuals who fall off the wagon, and sometimes fall off the wagon hard, but have the ability to get back on and continue to work the plan and work the system. So no guilt, no shame, let it go, detach from the outcome a little bit, and then jump right back in if you've fallen off the wagon, work toward your goals. Today, I want to answer the question, how does chiropractic fit into this concept of a wellness lifestyle? So to answer that, I want to go back to some of the key components that we discussed earlier, which is this concept of if we want to create a healthy human being, we have to create healthy behaviors. We have to create a healthy lifestyle. Our lifestyle includes how we eat, how we move, how we think, and our structure. So obviously, from a chiropractic perspective, structure ends up being an enormously foundational element of the chiropractic solution for people. That being said, I also want to make sure that I stress the idea that chiropractic also provides an essential component to the movement category of eat, move, think, and structure. So let's talk about how that works. So if you're trying to be sufficient and pure in the category of movement, there's really 2 or 3 things that are really required. Number one is you've got to have good form, right? When you're moving your body, you've got to have good form. Another way of thinking of this is you've got to have a good posture, okay? The other part of this is we need to have global movement. That means our entire body moving through full ranges of motion as much as we can. So typically in the modern world, this is accomplished through exercise. Okay? The other part of movement that chiropractic helps to provide for people is what's called segmental movement or segmental joint movement. So unfortunately, when we have poor postures over a prolonged period of time, or we have an acute trauma, an injury, oftentimes the bones of the spine or the bones of the body can become misaligned in their placement. And accordingly, we see that those joints become very rigid, very stiff, and very tight. In that environment, we lose movement from those joints. And accordingly, the body ends up causing breakdown at those areas because movement is a required nutrient in order for your body to be healthy. So we always say motion is like lotion, right? So the more you move, the easier it is for you to continue moving. Now, when it comes to being pure and sufficient in the category of movement, if we're getting great form and great posture, if we're getting out and we're exercising on a regular basis, and we're providing a chiropractic adjustment to be able to restore the normal, healthy alignment and position and range of motion of those spinal joints and joints of the body, now we've really been able to create the ideal version of how movement goes in the body. So not only would that help to avoid things like degenerative disc disease, degenerative joint disease, or arthritic changes, but it also helps to be able to knock down inflammation loads in the body. It helps to get rid of nerve stress in the body, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video. But from a movement perspective, chiropractic provides not only a structural key component, but it also provides a movement aspect that can't be gotten anywhere else. Keep in mind, even if you were to go and provide yoga for your body, or maybe you do running or Pilates, or you swim, or you ride a bike, or you work out doing like F45 or CrossFit or Orange Theory Fitness, all these types of programs are fantastic for global movement. However, if you still have segments of your spine that are misaligned, that are not moving, those areas are still not getting the requirements that they need, and they'll still cause breakdown. So many times I see athletes, or not even athletes, just individuals who are very active in their lifestyle that are incredibly healthy in general, but we look at their spine and there's still breakdown there. And the question is, well, is this due to age? And of course, the answer is no, because the areas above and below these degenerative changes are the exact same age as the segment that is degenerating. So ultimately, this comes down to repetitive body position habits and trauma. And how well can we create a healing environment so that we don't end up having breakdown in those areas? Today, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the body. I want to talk a little bit about posture, and I want to talk about what lives inside your spine and how important that is in keeping your whole body functioning optimally. So, first things first, let's talk a little bit about chiropractic. So, chiropractors, our job is to really focus on the alignment and health of the spine and of the pelvis. So the spine has two major jobs. The first is that it's going to help to support our bodies and keep us upright. We call that your posture. The second thing it does is it provides protection for the spinal cord. The spinal cord, guys, is this yellow guy that lives right in the middle of the spinal bones and these nerves. The spinal cord and the nerves are the communication system of our entire body. So the way that your body works, as you guys know, the brain that would sit inside the skull here, it communicates with the rest of the body by running energy right down the spinal cord. The spinal cord then takes that energy and shoots it out, guys, across these nerves. Those nerves kick out to the right and left-hand sides of the body, and they go out to everything. So your glands, your organs, your muscles, tissues, bones, all of those guys and gals need all that good communication and energy to move from the brain through the spine. That's the chiropractor's job before it can get out into those organs and tissues. So if we're doing a great job in our chiropractic lifestyle, our posture is upright, the bones are well aligned, there's not a lot of stress or tension on the spinal cord or nerves, and accordingly, the body's communicating effectively brain to body, you can heal and you can function at your best. When we run into challenge is if we've had any sort of stress that takes place to the structure of the body. This could be in the form of stuff that happens fast, so slips and falls, sports injuries, car accidents, workplace injuries, or it can happen because of things that happen slowly and progressively over time. What I'm referring to there is all of the body position habits that we struggle with. Sitting position, standing position, lifting position, sleep positions. cell phones, laptops, working from home at the kitchen table rather than in an ergonomic office setup. These types of stressors lead to shifts in the alignment of the bones, guys. We get misalignment. Misalignment leads to a few different problems. To make it simple, the things that I focus on, number one, these bones don't move very well. The joints become very stiff, very restricted in their movement. Number two, it puts stress onto the nerve. So once the nerves are under stress, then how well they send their signals from the spinal cord out into the organs and tissues, that energy is very much turned down. Think of this like a dimmer switch effect for your lights, right? So now the health and function of the parts of the body at the end of those nerves progressively weakens and degenerates over a period of time. Okay? So the name of this condition that I'm describing that chiropractors work to correct is called subluxation. Try that with me. Subluxation. Subluxation. So one area of subluxation will not only cause these local effects, but it will also lead to changes in the posture of the individual, because somewhere else in the body, we've got to compensate for that misalignment. With these postural changes, we end up with distortions, and now we get stress that'll actually weaken and affect not just one area of the spinal cord or nerves, but now the entire system. The whole system's under stress. Now getting energy from the brain into the entire body is turned down. Now someone's overall health, their systemic health, is not functioning optimally and can lead to disease. So as a chiropractor, my job is to be able to go in and identify these areas of subluxation, identify the areas of postural distortion, and work to correct them. And by doing so, not only restore the health and function of the spine and have it last your entire life so you can do what you want, but it also helps to eliminate stress and tension on the spinal cord and nerves so that you can communicate effectively, your body can adapt to your environment readily, and your body can function optimally and heal. So this is very important when we talk about the structure of the body. It's also huge when we start understanding something called sagittal balance. Sagittal balance is describing when we look at the body from the side, can we draw one straight line from the whole of the ear all the way down and hit our ankle bone and not have different angles that show up, meaning my head is not forward of my shoulders, or my torso isn't back and my head is forward, or something like that, where we're starting to get misalignment in the overall posture. If we can draw a straight line from top to bottom, the most current scientific research is supporting the fact that you will significantly decrease your likelihood of chronic pain, and you'll significantly decrease your likelihood of being dependent upon other individuals in order for you to be able to do your activities of daily living as you move forward in life. I've spoken with thousands of people in respect to their health. I've never once heard anyone say, I want to move forward in my life and be dependent upon someone else to use the restroom or get my clothes on or make my food and things of that nature. Never once. So posture is going to be huge. The structure of your body is going to be huge, and being able to help you to be able to reach your long-term goals. And again, Aligned Life is all about helping you to identify your long-term vision, match and align your current behaviors with that vision, and then give you the path to be able to walk to help you hit that successfully. So this is how chiropractic helps you be able to achieve those goals and create the ideal lifestyle for healing. Today, I'd really like to discuss the why behind understanding these concepts at a very deep level is so fundamental to being able to create the life that you desire and that you absolutely deserve. So I want to open with this idea that if you're watching this series and you've worked hard to get all the way through there, number one, I'm proud of you, great effort. But I also want to say that I believe that there's a reason why you've been watching this series. I believe that there's a reason why going through these things, even though they may have challenged your mindset or maybe challenged some of your existing belief systems, that challenge might be exactly what you need in order to be able to get to the next level in your life. If you believe that Band-Aid fixes like pain medication and muscle relaxers are not the best way of being able to create a healthy body for yourself or for your family, then Aligned Life Chiropractic and Wellness is going to be a good solution for you. If you understand that the modern world has prioritized comfort and ease so highly that it's gotten us away from some of the fundamental elements of actually creating a resilient human being, then Aligned Life Chiropractic and Wellness is going to be a good place for you. If state-of-the-art equipment and optimal health protocols combined with kind of an old school mentality of hard work, consistency, perseverance, determination, if you think that putting those two things together would help to create a better life for you and your family, Aligned Life Chiropractic and Wellness is going to be a good place for you. We believe that to influence the world in the biggest way possible, the most important thing that you can do is actually work on yourself. Because ultimately, the better you are and the better you show up every single day for your community, for your family, the easier it is for us to be able to create the ideal world for all of us to live in, and we're counting on you to be able to do that. We also believe that everyone deserves the ideal life that they want. And accordingly, health is a foundational element of being able to create that for themselves. We have 5 core values in our practice. The first is that you have to know yourself. It's absolutely essential to be able to understand who you are at a deep level. We also ask that you take responsibility, and that's in everything in your life. We've talked about that in our video series. We also want you to be thinking about the long term, because that's our guiding light, that's our North Star and how we make decisions. We have you prioritize your self-care, and then we want you to connect to our community. And by going through those processes, we find that people are really able to live an incredible quality of life. Last thing I want to talk about today is this idea that our mentality at our practice is that all spines are welcome. And we say that because these days, with so much division in the world, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult for everyone to feel comfortable no matter where they are on their health journey. And I want you to know, as the president and CEO of this company, that we are here for you no matter where you are on that journey, and that you are accepted to be here, and that we will make you feel comfortable. So I hope that this information has resonated with you. I hope that the concepts that we've discussed are ones that you can implement and be successful with. And if you have any questions or concerns, or you'd like to work with our team, we can't wait to work with you on an ongoing basis to be able to move you forward to the ideal aligned life that you deserve. We look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.